Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zheng here, and since you guys got another 300 likes on yesterday's video, I'm bringing you with another rated battle special VGC 14 battle on the online ladder where I provide live commentary as I go. I'm using the exact same team as yesterday, same Sun team with Venusaur, Garchomp, Scrafty, Charizard, Rodent Wash, Tyranitar. In yesterday's game, I had a pretty clean win against an opponent, started off poorly but ended up coming back. My opponent is Tielfling 1489 from Georgia, the United States, and Tielfling's team is Lucario, Sylveon, Dragonite, Salamence, Talonflame, and Scizor. Interesting team. Most Pokemon not really standard in VGC 2014. Dragonite pretty rare, though this is the second battle in 2 days that I've faced it. Sylveon I haven't really seen any of at all. Lucario and Scizor are both good Pokemon, but you know, situational, so not very common. And Talonflame and Salamence, the two common Pokemon on my opponent's team. So first of all, I noticed that he's very weak to, I think Rodent Wash does a good job overall because he can pick up the one-hit KO on the Talonflame, burn the Scizor, and overall just isn't KO'd by anything. So I'm definitely going to want to bring Rodent Wash in this. Scrafty, don't think it's going to be the best in this matchup because Sylveon can one-hit KO it, it's 4 times weak to Fairy, and Talonflame can also Brave Bird it. And overall, it just really won't offer much, so I think I'm going to have to not bring Scrafty. So I think I'm going to definitely lead with Rodent Wash because that's my safest option. And I kind of want to go with Charizard too. I think Charizard will be very important in this matchup, but only after I get rid of the dragons that have potential to Rock Slide it. So I'm going to go with Garchomp and Rotom as my leads because I think those are pretty safe and have Tyranitar and Charizard in the back. Charizard's good to take care of my opponent's 2 Steel types and Sylveon. And with Rotom and Garchomp, there's nothing that can really go wrong because Rotom can take any hit and I can bait attacks into Garchomp while not actually doing anything with Garchomp. So let's see how this turns out. My opponent's team doesn't really have any tricks from what I've seen in team preview. So he's going to lead with Talonflame and Sylveon against my Rotom and Garchomp. So I definitely have a good matchup here. And for the first turn, you'd expect the Talonflame to protect. So I think I want to burn the Sylveon to start the game off and just go for a Protect on my Garchomp to scout what his Talonflame's going to do. There's no harm in protecting turn 1 against a Talonflame when you have Rotom Wash out. Sylveon, I don't expect to do very much against the Rotom. Of course, Pixelate is actually a thing, so it might, you know, Hyper Beam Sylveon is something I've actually seen before and it's scary, but I'm just going to go for a safe Protect here, and let's see what Sylveon opts to do. Of course, I'm going to get Will-O-Wisp off first, but Sylveon's going to avoid it, so that's unfortunate. But the Moonblast is going to go into the Garchomp, so that ends up being a pretty careless turn. Unfortunate that I had to miss there, but, you know, that is what it is. And so now, I don't want Garchomp to get KO'd, so I'm probably going to switch it into the Charizard to resist the fire. And I'm thinking of just Thunderbolting the Dragonite. I'm going to Thunderbolt the Dragonite and switch into Charizard. Because if my opponent opts to Moonblast, then Charizard will be able to take it because, of course, Fire type resists Fairy type. Dragonite opting to go for the Extreme Speed right away onto the Rotom. That shouldn't do too much. Yeah, it does a decent amount, but because Extreme Speed isn't the strongest move to start off with, I'm going to be able to take that relatively well. Moonblast, of course, going to go onto that Charizard, but with that resist, I'm going to take it. And so now I'm tempted to burn the Dragonite. I'm going to definitely Mega Evolve here and just go for an Overheat onto Sylveon. I don't really know what Dragonite and Sylveon really do. I haven't seen them very often. I don't expect them to carry surprise moves like in one-hit KO Charizard. So I'm relatively comfortable with my position, but this is one of the games when you go in and you realize, wow, I haven't seen a lot of the Pokemon my opponent's team in VGC. What do I do? And so in this case, you know, you just want to make the best plays possible. Don't lose Pokemon immediately, and hopefully my opponent doesn't have any crazy moves. I don't even know if Dragonite can learn Rock Slide, but both of my opponent's Pokemon are going to stay in. So Charizard's going to Mega Evolve here, obviously going to set up Drought, boosting Fire-type attacks. And for the last few turns, obviously Rotom's been outspeeding Sylveon. But that Dragonite should be pretty speedy. I am running Timid Charizard, but he's just going to Extreme Speed me. Does quite a lot, actually. I am going to hit this Overheat, and I'm not sure if that's enough to KO, but let's see. Sun boosted. I am Timid Nature, though, so not Modest. And as you see there, Sylveon takes it with just a bit left. Rotom's going to go for the Will-O-Wisp on Dragonite. It is going to connect this time, so that's really fortunate. And this Dragonite's going to be burned for the rest of the game. But it does show the Lumberry. Very cool. So Dragonite's going to heal that burn. Sylveon going for a Moonblast, most likely on the Rotom Wash. And it does. And wow, that did a lot more than I expected. And my special attack's actually going to fall too, so that's pretty unfortunate. So my opponent's been playing this pretty well, actually. I'm actually going to go for another Will-O-Wisp on the Dragonite and switch my Charizard out because I still want to conserve that and bring in Tyranitar to set up the Sand. That way Sylveon will be 2-hit KO'd by the Sand after 2 turns. Since my opponent did reveal Talonflame in the beginning of the game, obviously I want to have something that can beat that in the end, but having Rotom, Garchomp, and Tyranitar, which all counter Talonflame relatively well, it really helps a lot, so I'm not very concerned about the Talonflame. I expect my opponent's Dragonite to just go for another Extreme Speed this turn, and it is going to do that. Still targeting Tyranitar, which is not going to do very much. Rotom is going to miss its Will-O-Wisp again, and Sylveon's going to go for a Wish. Okay, curious move there. Not very common, but might just help it out in this case. Really unfortunate again, missing the Will-O-Wisp, going really 1 for 3 so far in this game, but you know, that's what you run into when you run Will-O-Wisp. So here I'm going to go for just a Thunderbolt onto Sylveon and an Ice Beam onto Dragonite. You'd expect Sylveon to protect, but if Sylveon chooses not to protect, then I'll just get a free KO here. And Ice Beam should be a nice knockout on Dragonite. Dragonite shouldn't be able to KO either of my Pokemon, but Dragonite's actually going to swap out. So good play there. Salamence is going to come in, so I am very happy with that because this Ice Beam is just going to pick up a knockout regardless of what happens. And my opponent revealing that he actually doesn't have a Mega Pokemon, so interesting choice there, but I'm perfectly content with how this turn is going to turn out. So I'm going to go for that Protect, which makes perfect sense. Running Wish without Protect doesn't really make much sense, and I'm going to pick up this free knockout on Salamence. Of course, also 4 times weak to Ice. Life Orb Special Tyranitar, really one of my favorite sets in VGC 2014. I actually did an analysis on both Rotom Wash and Tyranitar, which you can check out. And I'm actually going to pick up the knockout on Sylveon with Sand. I didn't actually expect that. So because Sand goes before Wish, it's going to get knocked out and not going to be able to heal back all the way to full HP. So now it's 4-on-2, and I think this game is pretty much over at this point. Of course, you never want to count your opponent out, but Tyranitar does a very nice job walling both of my opponent's Pokemon. Here I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt on the Talonflame and an Ice Beam on the Dragonite because I don't want to risk any misses. And let's see. Once again, Tyranitar really can take most attacks from Dragonite and Talonflame. I mean, Talonflame gets access to U-Turn, Dragonite gets access to, I think, Earthquake. Both really rare in VGC, and I don't expect either of them to pick up the one-hit KO on Tyranitar. So Tyranitar should be able to just close this game up for me. But even if it doesn't, Garchomp will be able to come in, and Garchomp is faster than Dragonite, and with Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet, both Talonflame and Dragonite are going to have to deal a lot of damage to themselves to even get an attack off. Talonflame just going to go for the Brave Bird, most likely on Rotom. And with the high damage roll, that might KO depending on its item. But it's actually going to target Tyranitar, which makes sense because Tyranitar's the bigger threat right now. And Talonflame revealing its Shell Bell, not a very common item on Talonflame and not one I like very much, but Dragonite going to go for that Dragon Claw, but because Tyranitar's so naturally bulky, I'm going to be able to Ice Beam this Dragonite and pick up a KO here, and Rotom Wash is going to be able to Thunderbolt Talonflame safely and pick up the 4-0 win. And, 3-0. Tyranitar fainting once again because of its Life Orb, but picking up 2 very good knockouts with Ice Beam, and that's why I love Special Tyranitar. Rotom's going to get its Thunderbolt off here, and that should be a nice KO. But this Talonflame revealing to be pretty bulky, which makes sense because it is running Shell Bell. So, just finishing the game up at this point. Interesting team by my opponent. Just a couple Pokemon I haven't really seen, Sylveon and Dragonite, but Sylveon's kind of annoying to play against. But in the end, you just have to make sure you don't, lose any Pokemon to it, because I think one of its biggest assets is the fact that it's bulky and it can one-hit KO Dragons. So I'm going to take a 3-1 win there. Not the most exciting match, but still got to showcase using Sun, and my opponent had some pretty cool Pokemon. Anyway, once again, 300 likes for another battle video tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a Garchomp analysis that'll go up later tonight, so expect that. And, just stay awesome, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.